Have you ever wondered if the world around you is real, or if everything you've ever known is nothing more than an illusion? From the moment we are born, we are conditioned to believe in a fixed external reality, a world of solid objects, linear time, and cause and effect. We wake up, go about our daily routines, interact with people, and experience emotions, all while assuming that this reality is absolute. But what if this is all an illusion? What if the life you are living is nothing more than a carefully designed program, one that adapts to your thoughts, your beliefs, and your perception? Philosophers and mystics have questioned this for centuries. Plato's Allegory of the Cave describes humans as prisoners in a dark cavern, mistaking shadows on the wall for reality. René Descartes doubted the very fabric of existence, wondering if an external force was deceiving him. In Hindu philosophy, the concept of Maya suggests that the world we see is a grand illusion, masking the true nature of existence. And now modern science is catching up. Quantum mechanics suggests that reality does not exist independently of observation, that the very act of perception collapses the infinite possibilities of the universe into a fixed experience. The observer effect proves that particles do not assume a definite state until they are measured. This means that the world you see is not an objective, external structure. It is a projection shaped by your consciousness. If this is true, then the question arises, who or what is generating this reality? What if everything you believe about the world is a carefully constructed program? And what if, just like a dream, you could wake up and see the truth? Now let's begin. The illusion of material reality. Have you ever questioned whether the physical world is as solid as it seems? You touch objects, feel their weight, and assume they are real. But what if everything around you is nothing more than a projection, a fleeting manifestation shaped by your own mind? For centuries, humans believed in an objective, external universe, a world that exists independently of observation. But modern science has dismantled this belief. Quantum mechanics has proven that, at the most fundamental level, matter is not fixed. It does not exist in a definite state until it is observed. This is known as the observer effect, one of the strangest and most profound discoveries in physics. When a subatomic particle is not being observed, it exists in a wave-like state, existing everywhere and nowhere at once. But the moment it is measured, it collapses into a single position. This suggests that reality does not pre-exist. It is formed through the act of observation. The physicist John Wheeler, one of the pioneers of quantum mechanics, took this even further with his participatory universe theory. He suggested that reality is not simply observed, it is actively constructed through consciousness. His famous words, "No phenomenon is a real phenomenon until it is an observed phenomenon," challenge everything we assume about existence. If reality only takes shape when we observe it, then what exactly is it before we look? This is where ancient wisdom aligns with modern physics. The Upanishads of Hindu philosophy declared that the world is Maya, an illusion shaped by consciousness. Buddhism goes even deeper, stating that all phenomena are inherently empty, meaningless, until the mind gives them form. And in a strange parallel, our digital world functions in the exact same way. A video game simulation does not render an entire world at once. It only generates what the player sees at any given moment. If our universe behaves in the same way, then is it possible that reality is nothing more than a simulation, a holographic projection shaped by consciousness? And if reality is not fixed, then what does that mean for you? If you are not just a passive observer, but an active participant in shaping existence, then what kind of reality are you choosing to create? Now let's go deeper. Are we living in a simulation? Have you ever felt like reality isn't quite real? That something about existence feels scripted, artificial, or even designed? What if everything you experience, your thoughts, your emotions, the people you meet, is part of a program running behind the scenes? The idea that we may be living in a simulation isn't just science fiction. It's a hypothesis taken seriously by some of the world's greatest thinkers. Bostrom, a philosopher at Oxford University, proposed the simulation argument, which suggests that if an advanced civilization were capable of creating ultra-realistic simulations of conscious beings, then statistically, we are far more likely to be inside one of those simulations than in base reality. Even Elon Musk has famously stated that the odds that we are living in base reality are 1 in billions. But this idea is not new. Ancient traditions have long described reality as an illusion. Hinduism teaches that the universe is Maya, a dreamlike projection of the divine consciousness. Plato's cave allegory suggests that humans are trapped in a false reality, mistaking shadows for the real world. Gnostic Christianity describes the material world as a prison created to trap consciousness in an illusion. And then we have the holographic universe theory, proposed by physicist David Bohm, which suggests that reality is not made of solid objects, but is instead a projection of encoded information from a deeper, unseen dimension. Just like a hologram, where the entire image is contained in every fragment, our universe may be structured in the same way, implying that everything we see is merely a surface illusion hiding a more fundamental reality. Even in quantum mechanics, experiments like the double-slit experiment suggest that matter behaves as information rather than physical stuff. This means that reality may not be material at all, but instead a complex set of probabilities that collapse into form only when observed. This idea mirrors the way video games function. A simulation does not render the entire world at once. It only generates what is needed based on the player's perspective. What if our universe functions the same way? This brings us to the ultimate question. If reality is a simulation, then who or what is running the program? Religious traditions across the world hint at an answer. In Christianity, the book of Genesis describes how God spoke reality into existence, mirroring the idea of a coded program universe. In Islam, the phrase kun fayakun translates to be and it is, implying that reality is not a fixed, eternal structure, but something created through intention. In Hinduism, Brahman is said to be dreaming the universe into existence. Could it be that simulation theory is simply science rediscovering what spiritual traditions have known for thousands of years? And if reality is a simulation, then what role do you play in it? Are you just a character in a pre-written script, or do you have the power to rewrite the code? Now, let's go even deeper. The ego, the false identity that traps you in the simulation. Have you ever felt like you're playing a role in life, acting out a script you didn't write? You wake up, follow your routine, meet expectations, but deep inside, a question lingers. Is this really me? Or am I just an identity shaped by society, experiences, and beliefs? At this level of understanding, we begin to see that the biggest illusion isn't just the external world, it's the self we think we are. The ego, the mental construct of I, is the greatest program running within the simulation. It tells you that you are separate from the world, that you are an individual confined to a body, a name, a history. But is this truly who you are? The Swiss psychologist Carl Jung spoke of the persona, the social mask we wear, designed to fit into the world. He also described the shadow, the hidden aspects of ourselves that we deny. Together, they form the identity we mistake for the self. But this self is just an accumulation of conditioning. From birth, you are given a name, a nationality, a belief system. You are taught what is possible and what is not. By the time you reach adulthood, your ego is fully formed, not by you, but by external forces. The Vedantic tradition of Hinduism teaches that the ego is an illusion, the ahamkara, or the false self. According to Advaita Vedanta, the true self, Atman, is not the ego, but pure consciousness, infinite and unbound. Gnostic Christianity goes even further, stating that the material world is a prison designed to keep souls trapped in the illusion of separateness. The Gnostics believe that the true self is divine, but has forgotten its own nature, mistaking itself for the body and mind. But here's the problem. As long as you believe you are the ego, you remain trapped inside the simulation. Think of a video game character. The character believes it is real. It follows a story, has an identity, and interacts with its world. But outside the screen, there is a player, the one truly in control. What if your ego, the name, the personality, the memories, is just the character, while your consciousness is the player? This is why mystics and enlightened beings throughout history have said the same thing. You are not the mind, you are not the body, you are the observer. The moment you realize this, you begin to wake up from the illusion. But most people resist this realization. The ego fights back. It doesn't want to lose control. It tells you, this is nonsense. I am real. I have memories, thoughts, desires. I exist. If I let go of my identity, who will I be? And that's the greatest fear of all, losing the self. Enlightened masters like Buddha, Laozi, and Rumi all taught the same lesson. You cannot be free until you let go of the illusion of I. Buddha called the ego attachment to self, the root of all suffering. Laozi in the Tao Te Ching said, "When I let go of who I am, I become what I might be." Rumi wrote, "Be like a melting snowflake. Wash yourself of yourself." The moment you stop identifying with the ego, the illusion begins to break. You start seeing reality as it truly is, not as something happening to you, but as something unfolding through you. So the question remains, are you willing to let go of the illusion of self? Or will you stay trapped, believing you are just a character in the simulation? Because once you realize the ego is not you, something incredible happens. You gain the ability to rewrite the program itself. And that brings us to the next level. How belief programs the simulation. How belief programs the simulation. Have you ever noticed how two people can experience the same event but interpret it completely differently? One sees disaster, the other sees opportunity. One feels trapped, the other feels free. The event is the same, but their realities are entirely different. Why? Because belief is the code that programs the simulation. If reality functions like a simulation, then your mind is the programmer. Your beliefs, emotions, and expectations determine what gets rendered into existence. This is not wishful thinking. It is backed by science, philosophy, and spiritual traditions alike. The human brain does not passively receive reality, it constructs it. Neuroscience has shown that what we perceive is not raw reality, but a filtered version shaped by our beliefs and expectations. The reticular activating system, RAS, in the brain acts as a filter, deciding what information enters your awareness. If you believe the world is hostile, your brain will selectively focus on threats. If you believe in abundance, you will start noticing opportunities. The placebo effect proves that belief alone can change biological reality. Patients given sugar pills but told their medicine often experience real healing. The nocebo effect is the opposite. Negative beliefs can create illness and suffering, even if nothing is physically wrong. If belief can alter biology, why wouldn't it also shape reality itself? In quantum physics, the act of observation determines how reality unfolds. The double-slit experiment proves that particles behave as a wave of probabilities until observed, at which point they collapse into a definite form. This aligns with ancient wisdom. The Upanishads teach that the external world is shaped by consciousness. Neville Goddard taught that feeling is the secret. Your emotions and assumptions dictate what reality mirrors back to you. Buddhism states that reality is an illusion shaped by perception. With our thoughts, we make the world. If quantum physics and ancient mysticism both suggest that consciousness creates reality, then your internal beliefs act as the blueprint for the world you experience. Neville Goddard's law of assumption states that the universe does not give you what you want. It gives you what you assume to be true. If you believe you are powerless, reality will reflect that powerlessness. If you believe you are worthy, opportunities and success will appear in your path. This is different from the law of attraction, which focuses on wanting something. The law of assumption states that if you want to experience a new reality, you must first embody it internally. Modern science backs this up. Doctor. Joe Dispenza's research shows that practicing gratitude and visualization reprograms the brain, shifting neurological patterns to match the reality you wish to experience. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, proves that shifting one's internal beliefs can physically change brain function and reshape external experiences. If the simulation is shaped by belief, then every thought you hold, every emotion you generate, and every assumption you cling to is actively shaping the code of your life. If you expect failure, the simulation generates obstacles. If you assume success, the simulation generates opportunities. If you believe you are unworthy, the simulation mirrors that belief. If you see yourself as limitless, the simulation removes limits. This is why spiritual masters across traditions have emphasized self-awareness. Jesus said, "As you believe, so shall it be done unto you." The Bhagavad Gita states, "Man is made by his belief. As he believes, so he is." The Buddha taught, "What you think, you become." If these ancient teachings, neuroscience, and quantum physics all point to the same truth, that belief shapes reality, then the next question is, how do we use this knowledge to escape the limits of the simulation? That leads us to the next level: how to hack the simulation and rewrite your reality. How to hack the simulation and rewrite your reality. Have you ever wondered if life is something happening to you or something happening through you? What if the obstacles, limitations, and struggles you face are not fixed laws of reality, but editable parameters in a program? What if, instead of being a powerless observer, you could become the coder of your own existence? The ancient mystics, modern neuroscientists, and quantum physicists all point to the same truth. Reality is not rigid, it is fluid, responsive, and shaped by consciousness. And if that's the case, then the most important question is, how do we rewrite the code? The first key to hacking the simulation is understanding that your reactions keep reality locked into place. Every time you react emotionally to an event, whether through fear, anger, or doubt, you reinforce it within the simulation. The Stoics, such as Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, taught that detachment from external events gives us true control. Buddhism teaches that suffering comes from attachment. When we stop reacting to illusions, they lose power over us. Imagine a lucid dream. When you become aware that you are dreaming, the dream instantly changes. But the moment you fear something in the dream, it becomes real and overwhelming. Life functions in the same way. The more you resist, the more real your problems seem. But when you detach and stop feeding them energy, they dissolve, because the simulation is no longer programmed to maintain them. Once you master detachment, the next step is installing new beliefs into your subconscious. Neuroscience proves that repeated thoughts create neural pathways. Your brain adapts to the beliefs you reinforce. Dr. Bruce Lipton's research on epigenetics shows that genes do not control destiny. Your thoughts and environment shape biological expression. Neville Goddard's teachings emphasize that imagination is the blueprint of reality. If you assume a new reality is true, the subconscious mind reprograms itself to match. To rewrite the simulation, you must identify limiting beliefs. What assumptions are running your current program? Replace them with new empowering beliefs. Assume the reality you desire already exists. Engage in repetition and visualization. Reinforce the new belief daily until it becomes the new code. This is why spiritual traditions emphasize affirmations, prayer, meditation, and visualization. They are methods of mental reprogramming that shift the simulation into alignment with your desired outcome. Most people believe time is a fixed sequence. Past leads to present, present leads to future. But if reality is a simulation, then time is not linear. It is a construct. Einstein's theory of relativity shows that time changes based on speed and perception. Quantum mechanics suggests that all possible futures exist at once. Your focus determines which one manifests. Many spiritual traditions state that past, present, and future exist simultaneously. This means that you do not need to wait for change. Change exists now. If you shift your internal state, The simulation adjusts to match it. The reality you seek already exists. You just have to align with it. Once you have detached from limiting beliefs, reprogrammed your subconscious, and understood that time is flexible, the last step is embodying your new reality. Neville Goddard called this living in the wish fulfilled. Acting as if your new reality already exists forces the simulation to conform. The Bhagavad Gita teaches that a man becomes what he believes himself to be. Jesus said, "Whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours." Reality is a mirror. It reflects back to you what you believe. If you wait for external proof before believing in a new reality, you remain stuck in the old program. But when you act as if it is already real, the simulation has no choice but to comply. So the final question is, what reality will you choose to program? Because once you understand that reality is shaped by belief, the only limits that exist are the ones you refuse to let go of. Now let's go deeper. The greatest illusion: time is not real. Have you ever felt like time is slipping through your fingers? You look back and years seem to have vanished. You make plans for the future, yet it never arrives as expected. But what if time itself is not what it seems? What if it's not a fixed, unchangeable force, but an illusion, just like the rest of the simulation? For centuries, humanity has accepted time as a linear progression, past leading to present, present leading to future. We are conditioned to believe in cause and effect, in aging, in irreversible events. But science, philosophy, and spirituality all point to a shocking truth. Time is not absolute. It is a perception. The idea that time is an illusion is not just spiritual mysticism, it is a fact of physics. Albert Einstein's theory of relativity shattered the Newtonian idea of a universal clock ticking forward. According to Einstein, time slows down the faster you move. A person traveling at near light speed would age much slower than someone on Earth. Time stretches and contracts depending on gravity. A clock at the top of a skyscraper moves faster than one on the ground. The past, present, and future exist simultaneously. In physics, there is no absolute now. All moments are equally real. If time is not fixed, then what does this mean for our perception of reality? Quantum mechanics provides another mind-bending insight. All possible futures already exist. The many worlds interpretation suggests that every choice we make creates a new reality. The superposition principle shows that particles exist in multiple states at once until observed, meaning reality itself is not set until we focus on it. If past and future are just probabilities, then is it possible to shift between them? Long before physics caught up, ancient spiritual teachings already knew time was an illusion. Buddhism teaches that time is a construct of the mind. Enlightenment occurs when one transcends it. Hinduism describes time as kala, a cyclical force rather than a straight line. Christianity and Islam both suggest that God exists outside of time, seeing past, present, and future as one. Even the mystic Rumi wrote, "Try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you." Time is not what you think it is. If time is not real, then it is not something you are trapped in. It is something you can manipulate. Rewriting the past. Your past does not exist except in memory. When you change your perception of it, you rewrite its effect on your life. Collapsing future timelines. All possible futures exist at once. By shifting your state of consciousness, you align with a new version of reality. Living in the now. If past and future are illusions, then the only reality is the present moment. When you fully enter the now, you gain complete control over reality. This is why masters of meditation, lucid dreamers, and spiritual mystics often describe a timeless state of being. Once you escape the illusion of time, you begin to see reality for what it truly is, a simulation responding to consciousness. So the question is, are you still living as if you are bound by time, or will you step outside of the illusion? Now let's go even deeper. The ultimate choice: will you wake up? Have you ever felt that something about life doesn't add up? That no matter how much you achieve, learn, or experience, there's an underlying sense that you're searching for something, but you don't know what? This is the final illusion of the simulation, the belief that you are just a passive observer of reality rather than its creator. For your entire life, you have been conditioned to see the world as something external, a system of rules, limitations, and unchangeable forces. But now you see the truth. Reality does not exist without consciousness. It is shaped by perception. The ego is a construct, a mask you wear within the simulation, but it is not your true self. Belief is the programming language of reality. What you assume to be true becomes the script of your experience. Time is an illusion, and you are not bound by a linear past or a fixed future. If you have understood this deeply, then you are faced with a choice, perhaps the most important choice of your existence. Most people will reject this knowledge. They will say, "This is just a theory. It doesn't change my life." Reality is what it is. I have no control. Life is hard and I'm just trying to survive. And so they will continue living inside the dream, mistaking shadows for reality, just as Plato described in the Allegory of the cave. They will obey the script they've been given, never questioning who wrote it. But for those who see beyond the illusion, there is another choice. To awaken from the simulation is not about leaving the world. It is about seeing it for what it truly is. It means realizing that external reality is a reflection of your internal state. It means breaking free from the mental programs of limitation, fear, and self-doubt. It means recognizing that you are the architect of your own existence, not a victim of fate, but the writer of the script. This is why the great spiritual masters, Jesus, Buddha, Rumi, Laozi, all taught the same lesson. The kingdom of heaven is within you. The final step of awakening is to stop waiting for proof and start living as if you are already free. Because in the end, reality is not something happening to you. Reality is something responding to you. This is where the journey ends, or where it truly begins. Because now you must decide. Will you keep living inside the illusion, following the old program? Or will you rewrite the code and awaken to your true nature? The simulation is real, but now you know. You are not just the character, you are the player. So, what will you choose?